Good evening and welcome to the 2019 Division II Women's Basketball Selection Show. I'm your host, Will Haskett. Tonight, the journey continues for 64 teams in pursuit of a cherished national championship. 24 teams already know they are in as automatic qualifiers, while 40 teams will round out the field as at-large selections. Many feel safe, while others are waiting anxiously right now to hear their name called. We will get to that in just a second. Regionals begin this Friday with only 8 teams remaining by next Monday. Those lucky 8 move on to Columbus, Ohio with the national quarterfinals on March the 26th. The semifinals are a day later, and the national championship will be played on March the 29th at Alumni Hall. Who has a chance to get to Columbus? Well, the bracket is coming up. But first, we'd like to welcome in the chair of the Division II Women's Basketball Selection Committee. She is Melanie Ford, who's also the Assistant Athletic Director at Shepherd University. Good evening, Melanie. How are you?
Good morning, or good evening. Doing great.
It's morning, evening, no matter what time it is. It's been a long process to get to this bracket.
It really has. Today's been a long day, and we're really excited to get the bracket going.
You know, and to get to this point, I know it's a long process from the beginning of the season until right now. What is the work like in these final 72, 48 hours for your committee?
They're long. We are having a lot of conversations, looking at the bracket and just every single region, taking it step at a time. And with the new selection criteria, we've had a lot of discussions over the different rankings and where those teams are fitting. And with competition getting stronger and stronger, we're seeing it really tight in the selection data once again this year.
You mentioned those new sort of factors that went into it. What is it like to adjust for people that have been so accustomed to viewing that and then trying to bring in all those new sort of metrics to make sure you get the best 64 teams?
Yeah, absolutely. It can be tough. Learning what each criteria is really representing, where the strength of schedule, win-loss percentage. We're looking at teams winning against 500 and better teams, and so it's a lot of details and a lot of diving into the schedules for each team. So it's been tough, but we have a strong 8 committee team, and they've done a great job, and we're really looking forward to sharing the bracket tonight.
All right, you stick right there with us because Melanie's going to be with us for each region that we unveil, get a little bit of insight into the process as we do it. But let's not delay the drama anymore and dive right into the bracket. We start with the Atlantic region. The top seed and the host here is Glenville State. Top scoring team in the country is an offensive tornado, averaging over 103 per game entering the weekend and leading the country in three-pointers made. Emily Stoller takes a number of them, leading the team in scoring. Party time now for West Liberty, which nabs the 8 seed and makes the tournament for the first time in 3 years. Cal U is your 4 seed. The Vulcans have missed the tournament just twice since 2002, winning national titles in 2004 and 2015. This season, forcing over 24 turnovers per game puts this defense top 5 in the country in takeaways. And they will pressure Charleston coming up in the opening round. Virginia Union captured the CIAA and earned the 2 seed. Top defense in the country much of the season holds opponents to 31% shooting from the floor. On offense, look out for sharpshooter Sharika McNeil, who ranks in the top 5 in the nation in scoring, threes made, and field goals attempted. It's the 4th consecutive tournament appearance for the 1983 national champions, which marks the longest tournament streak in program history. Edinboro returns for the 2nd straight year, your first-round opponent there against Virginia Union. Watch out for PSAC champion Indiana, the 3 seed in this region. A lot to like about the Crimson Hawks entering the tournament, ranking in the top 10 in the country in scoring defense, while also top 10 in field goal percentage on the other side of the court. And a heat check comes against Bowie State. Ball and possession control, key for a team that is the only squad in the country heading into this past weekend, giving up less than 50 points per game. All right, one region in, Melanie. We talk about all the depth. You look at champions of various conferences in there, numbers, offense, defense, a lot of things to measure as you put together that region.
Absolutely. I mean, we're seeing Glenville State, taking home the Mountain East Championship today and edging out an extremely talented Virginia Union team. I mean, we're really seeing some strong defensive teams within this region. You got Bowie State, Virginia Union, IUP ranking in the top 10 in defensive scoring. But then on the other side, you've got Glenville State, West Liberty putting up large numbers. So this region is going to prove whether or not defense can truly win championships. Yeah,
the ultimate something's got to give region with that one. All right, let's go on to the Central region next, where the top seed here belongs to Fort Hays State. Back-to-back appearances for the Tigers for just the 2nd time in program history after a strong run to the MIAA title. No team took better care of the ball this year than this one, leading the nation in fewest turnovers entering the weekend with less than 11 per game. That control will be tested by Pittsburgh State in the opening round, sneaking into the tournament after missing out a season ago. Minnesota Duluth captured the Northern Sun thanks to 17 points from tournament MVP Sarah Groh. It was a back-and-forth battle that will now have a fourth matchup this season because, looky, MSU Moorhead, the 5 seed here. Jackie Volkert runs the offense, sporting a top 10 assist-to-turnover ratio and leading the Dragons back to the tournament for the 3rd straight season, where they look for revenge against the Bulldogs from that championship loss just really moments ago. GAC champ Southwestern Oklahoma State is the 2 seed, a historic season for the Bulldogs, who are poised for a deep run. Haley Tucker's 19 points per game leads the team. The senior surpassed 2,000 points this year, the first ever player in the Great American Conference to do so. She also became the first player to be first team All-GAC all 4 years. And guess what? She wasn't even the Conference Player of the Year this year. That would be teammate Hayden Pretty. Emporia State holds on to the regional rankings to get the 7 seed in this region, while Central Missouri settled for second in the MIAA a year after winning it all. They check in at the number 3 line. No tournament complete without the Jennies back for the 22nd time and back to defend the title from a year ago. 34 years after the first title, the run to the championship number 2 last year was extra sweet. Paige Redmond was one of 2 Jennies to make the all-tournament team last year, and she is back here in 2019, leading Central Missouri in scoring. Lindenwood will be the first team to try and dethrone the champs in this year's tournament. All right, Melanie, look at this. Probably a little bit of debate in the room between 1, 2, maybe even 3 on this line. And then the old dreaded conference championship rematch in the first round. I know sometimes it's just kind of fun for discussion points.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're going to see some great competition in this region. You know, not only from Central Missouri, like you said, defending 2018 champs, but from Fort Hays, who knocked off Central Missouri. I mean, that's a great win to get that conference title. You know, Southwest Oklahoma State, they're also the Great American Conference Tournament. When seeing that senior guard, Haley Tucker, I mean, she just scored over 2,000 points. And obviously, the Minnesota State, Moorhead, and Duluth, I mean, out of the Northern Sun, we're seeing a great tight battle there. And it's tough coming back and having to play again. But when the rankings sit to where they are, you have to go with it. And I think these 2 teams are going to have a good battle and make for a good region play. Yeah,
we just saw a good battle. No reason to think there won't be another one coming up in the first round of the NCAA tournament. All right, let's slide back east. 3rd region to unveil. The host for this region belongs to U Sciences. The Devils dancing for the 3rd straight year and sat atop the East rankings for much of the season. A team that spreads you out on the perimeter. U Sciences is top 10 in the country in both 3-pointers made and attempted this year. NYIT won the East Coast Conference to secure a berth and the 8th seed here in the East. Lemoyne, the 4 seed and champs of the Northeast 10, welcome back to the Dolphins. 2002 was the first and last tournament appearance, but the drought ends this year. Michaela Roberts has been the catalyst. Leading scorer and assist giver for Lemoyne, leads the nation in free throw shooting as well. St. Thomas Aquinas made its tournament debut last year and returns this year in 2019 for an encore. You knew this name was coming. Bentley. It wouldn't be a tournament without the Falcons, who are making their 35th NCAA tournament appearance, more than any other school. The 2014 national champs have missed the field just 3 times in school history. Hall of Fame coach Barbara Stevens has led Bentley to 10, count them, 10 national semifinal appearances. And now the most nervous wait perhaps in this region is all over for St. Anselm, returning to the tournament for the first time in 3 years. Final matchup here begins with Jefferson after making the program's first appearance a season ago. The Rams return in search of their first NCAA tournament win, which they hope comes against Stonehill, a proven NCAA commodity, now making the program's 25th NCAA appearance. You got some first-timers or relatively young programs, and then you've got some of the most storied programs here in the East, Melanie.
Absolutely. You know, we didn't see a lot of movement in the region over the last month, especially at that top part of that region. You know, Jefferson and Lemoyne had some great wins, but the U Sciences, you know, Coach Jackie Hartzell has the Devils really playing some great basketball right now, currently on that 19-game winning streak. And of course, like you said, I mean, Bentley has been around. They've got some season tournaments, and we're really going to see some great competition from this region. No doubt. Almost halfway home on this side of the bracket. We slide to the Midwest now, where the top team all season is ready to host. No surprise that belongs to Drury. Suffocating defense is the calling card for a program making its 6th consecutive tournament trip. Entering the weekend, Drury led the nation in steals and turnovers forced per game, while also leading in turnover margin. That helped them become the only team in the country with a scoring margin above 30. The 2004 national runner-ups made it to the regional final a season ago. And you can now stop worrying because Kentucky Wesleyan is in. A loss in the GMAC championship game wasn't enough to keep the Panthers out of the 2019 tournament.
Loaded region here with Ashland as a 4 seed. The Eagles have played for a national title in 4 of their last 6 trips to the tournament, so a deep run is always in play. The 2013 and 17 national champs were 1 win away from another title last year. This season, no team sported a better assist-to-turnover ratio than this squad. The GLIAC champs get a return engagement with Northern Michigan, whose run to the GLIAC title game gets them an at-large berth and a quick opportunity for revenge in this 4-5 matchup. Lewis earns the 2 seed, make it 7 straight tournament appearances for the Flyers, featuring one of the nation's most efficient offenses. It helps when leading scorer Jessica Kelleher is second in the country with a 65% field goal percentage. She was the GLVC Player of the Year, and she will need to be big against Walsh, the first-round opponent. Grand Valley State has its own size advantage. The Lakers are top 10 in the country in both field goal offense and defense. It helps to have the GLIAC Player of the Year in Cassidy Bench in the middle, averaging 20 and 12. She ranks in the top 20 nationally in scoring, rebounding, and blocks while having over 20 double-doubles this year. She will patrol the paint against Truman in the opening round, back for the first time since 2014. Melanie, a lot of blue bloods there in the Midwest as always, and no surprise sometimes you see a lot of good championship runs come out of this region.
Yeah, absolutely. No surprise. I mean, Drury has just solidified that top seed with that undefeated season and a strong run in her conference tournament. And Coach Miller's doing a great job in her 5th year. I mean, they've only suffered 16 losses during her time. And I think that's just hats off to her and her team. Grand Valley State, they logged that early win versus Ashland. And I think they're just doing a great job here throughout the season. And that matchup between Ashland and Northern Michigan, it's going to be another tough one. But I think it's going to prove to be a good run for all of these teams in this region.
Okay, halfway home. Let's go over to the right side of the bracket. Next region to unveil is the South. Top seed here playing host. That belongs to Florida Southern. The Mocs make 4 straight tournaments for the first time since 2001. It also helps to have some great players. Camille Giardina was named the SSC Player of the Year and is averaging nearly 20 a game for a team that led the conference in scoring and scoring margin. And they face, in the first round, perhaps the Cinderella story here in 2019. Lane makes the tournament for the first time. A heave and a prayer in the SIAC championship made history for the Lady Dragons, who were just 4th after the regular season in their own division, but make that Cinderella run to punch the ticket for the first time. Lee earns the 4 seed here, 3rd straight NCAA tournament berth after winning the Gulf South, and some new weapons for a run here in 2019 with freshman Haley Schubert leading the team in steals, free throw shooting, and is second in scoring. She was a conference freshman of the week 6 different times this season. Tampa returns after 2 years of missing the field, the first round opponent. Defending champ of this region is Union. A magical run to the semifinals last year has this program maybe motivated for the next step. It took wins by a single bucket in both the regional final last year and the national quarterfinals, and that experience could prove to be priceless for another tournament run here a season later. The battle testing begins against Nova Southeastern, which held on likely to the last at-large spot here in the South. Long time to stew for West Florida. A 13-game win streak ended suddenly in the opening round of the Gulf South Conference tournament for the Argos, but the body of work strong all season. That could be viewed as good or bad news for Eckerd, the first-round opponent and the last team here to unveil in the South. Melanie, a lot of talk about Lane there at 8. What an incredible run for them, but some strength also in the South to greet them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's exciting when you have a team come through in the end like Lane did, finish out strong, receive that automatic qualifier by winning the conference championship. And it's really exciting for them and their student athletes. And I think it's going to be a good challenge for them out there with Florida Southern, having the Player of the Year, Camille Gardina. They're going to be it's going to be a great competition for that. West Florida making their 4th appearance in the NCAA tournament. I'm excited to get this region going.
No doubt. All right, up the coast we slide now to the southeast. And on the top line, we find Anderson. An incredibly solid season for the Trojans, rewarded with the program's 13th tournament berth. One of the best rebounding teams in the country. Anderson is top 10 in rebound margin and defensive rebounds. Alexi Mullenhauer grabs more than 11 per game and averages a double-double. You know it's a deep region when Barton checks in as the 8 seed, having lost just 5 games this season. Carson Newman, the 4 seed here, 9th tournament berth for the Eagles. Harris Price was one of 2 first-team All-SAC selections. The 2nd straight season that happened for the program, and it never happened in back-to-back years in Eagle history. Those stars square off against Lander in the opening round. North Georgia, the 2 seed in the Southeast, just the 3rd tournament appearance, and this marks the first time the Nighthawks have made the field in back-to-back seasons. North Georgia red hot entering the tourney, having swept the month of February to set up momentum here in March, including a Peach Belt Conference title. Emmanuel will try to slow momentum fresh off a Conference Carolinas championship. Another strong seed for Wingate. The Bulldogs are in the field for the 18th time, where senior Caroline Averett was named first-team All-SAC and leads the team in scoring and shooting. Clayton State rounds out the region and will meet the Bulldogs in the opening round. I would have to imagine, Melanie, looking at the Southeast, Anderson on that one line, but the run North Georgia went on late in the season probably made that discussion between 1 and 2 difficult in the committee room.
Oh, it was absolutely a lot of conversation around that. But Anderson has 27 wins in a row. I mean, that showed and proved that they've been doing a great job throughout the season and right here at the end as well. So I think we're going to see some tough competition in the end with this region. Yeah,
no doubt. To the South Central now, 2 regions to go. And an interesting one here that we'll get into with Melanie in a second, because we have split hosting duties. West Texas A&M is the top seed, but a little spoiler alert here in case you're watching both shows here tonight. We'll have to share its home court with the men coming up this postseason. 25th appearance for a proud program that has twice been a national runner-up. Top shooting team in the country, entering the weekend at nearly 50%. Lethal inside and outside, where Lexi Hightower shoots it at 47% from 3. Taisha Taylor is 63% from the floor. Both rank in the top 5 in both categories in the country. Eastern New Mexico makes the field for the second time in program history and will travel to West Texas A&M for the opener, where Angelo State will be there as well as the 4 seed. The Bells are led by Marquita Daniels, whose 17 points per game is best, but she was also the Lone Star Conference Defensive Player of the Year to show off her versatility, which she will use against Westminster in the first round. The Griffins making their tournament debut as an at-large selection after a run to the RMAC Championship. Speaking of that championship game, it was won by Colorado Mesa, who will also host half of this region, back in the tournament for the first time since 2015. It's been a journey for a senior class that is finally rewarded. They have done it with defense, ranking second in the country in points against. And on offense, Sydney Brandon leads the country in assist-to-turnover ratio. Texas A&M Commerce is the 7 seed here and will face off against Mesa in the opening round. Lubbock Christian adds pop as the 3 seed, now 3 years removed from the perfect season in the program's first national championship. The Lady Chaps have the firepower to win it all again. Top 5 in the country shooting the basketball from 2 and 3. This team makes shots. They'll need buckets against Tarleton State, who rounds out the region as the 6th seed here in the South Central. All right, Melanie, kind of an interesting one here because of sharing the gym with the men's selection show still to come tonight as well. So you have 2 hosts here in the South Central.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a unique position over here with this region. But I think it's important that, the home teams, the #1 teams, they get that home court advantage and they have the opportunity to play on their court. So it's going to be interesting and new for us, but I think it's going to work out great.
All right. Our final region now takes us out west. 8 teams to go. Top seed and hosting duties belonging, no surprise here, to UC San Diego. Still undefeated on the season. 4th straight trip to the tournament for a school poised, you would imagine, for a deep turning run. It's been a solid and balanced season led by Michaela Williams, a double-double machine. She averages nearly 20 and 10 for the year to anchor a very deep and talented lineup. It's exhale time now for the 8th seed here as Dominican sneaks into the field. A chance to feature the nation's leading scorer entering the weekend. That would be Natalie Diaz. Azusa Pacific makes back-to-back tournaments for the first time in program history as the 4 seed, facing the gold standard of Cal Poly Pomona. No school has as much history as Pomona's 5 national championships, 26th tournament berth in program history. Northwest Nazarene won the GNAC to earn the 2 seed, first back-to-back tournament appearances in a decade for a team that this season ranks in the top 10 in the country in both scoring and shooting. That will be a tough defensive ask for Humboldt State, which snags an at-large berth in this region as the 7 seed. Final game features 3rd-seeded Alaska Anchorage. The 2016 national runner-ups sport a +10 turnover margin and are top 10 in the country in steals, assists, and scoring margin. And the matchup will be with Pac West champ Hawaii Pacific in search of the program's first NCAA tournament win. Well, you can't win it all if you don't win them all, I guess. Melanie, so you look at where UC San Diego is on this line. No surprise we see them on the top line here, but there's a lot of depth out west this season.
There really is. And hats off to UC San Diego for their undefeated season right now. Coach Vanderveer and junior forward Michaela Williams is doing an excellent job there. So we're really going to see a lot of depth from this bracket, and I think we're going to see some good games out of Northwest Nazarene and Alaska Anchorage. They have a lot of experience out there. But like you said, Hawaii Pacific, they're coming on strong, and I think we're going to see some some interesting games out there.
Yeah, just 4 losses on the top 3 lines in the West. That is a stacked region for sure. Okay, Melanie, now we've seen all 64 teams, all regions revealed. As you reflect back on this process, to kind of get the excitement of being able to see all these teams, and we understand the reactions that are taking place around the country right now. As you get ready and transition into game time, what's your, I guess, your lasting sort of reaction to the process, where it's arrived to, and now the excitement moving towards the games?
Absolutely. It's been a long season for many of these student athletes, and a long couple weeks for the national committee and putting this bracket together. But we're really excited with 2 teams still undefeated and 2 unexpected automatic qualifiers. I mean, I just don't know how you can't be excited about getting this tournament started. The road to Ohio Dominican, I mean, it's wide open, and we're really ready to see who's going to make it to Columbus, Ohio here in a couple weeks. So I just want to finish by, again, congratulating all the teams with their accomplishments this season, and we just really look forward to seeing you compete for this year's national championship.
Well, Melanie, tip of the cap to you and the rest of the committee. I know it has been a long, probably laborious process to this point in time. Get some rest, because we're tipping it off in just a couple of games. Thanks for your time.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, folks, the field is now set. 64 teams in pursuit of a national title. The regional contest tip-off, as I mentioned, this Friday, as everybody plays for that trip to Columbus, Ohio, the last week of March. Make sure you track all of the action here on NCAA.com, including the national quarterfinals and semis, before that championship game on March 29th, which you can find on the CBS Sports Network. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I'm Will Haskett. Congratulations and best of luck to all the student athletes competing in this year's championship.
Big shots. Teamwork. This trophy is not given. It must be earned. The 2019 NCAA Division II Women's Basketball Elite 8, March 26th through 29th at Alumni Hall in Columbus.
Bounces right back with a triple. Great job here. And that'll do it!
Visit ncaa.com/tickets and get your tickets today.